Don't make it time. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so, just a little quick funny story. Whenever a really great thing happens, and it's my husband and I always say, "We made it, Joe," and so we made it to fall. It works. It still works. So yay for fall! I was able to drink coffee outside this morning and did not melt. So I call that a win for the week. And so, welcome to the Piedmont Unitarian Universalist Church. Piedmont UU sits on the traditional land of the Catawba, Kiawe, and Sugary peoples. My name is Vanessa Sampson Schneider, and I will be your worship assistant this morning for Reverend Dr. Amy Rio, okay? Exciting days today. We have talking about the children today. I'm so excited. I love children, so this should be a very fantastic service. We are a flourishing, vibrant, and radically welcoming congregation which promotes diversity, inclusion, and social justice. We provide a safe haven for creative intellectual growth, spiritual development, and a deep sense of community for all who join us. We hope our liberal religious values will challenge you to join us as a community that lives boldly and acts justly. To all of our visitors and members, we're very glad that you're here in person or with us online, and we hope to see you again. Your presence is a gift to us. And so a few announcements for today. Our CUPS group will host a fall equinox event this afternoon at 2 p.m. here at the church, and everyone is invited to join. Our first monthly yoga class will be held in this space on Thursday at 5:30, so don't forget to bring your yoga mat, and if you're like me, don't forget to bring your blocks, because you can't do those moves, so you got to have some blocks to give you some stabilization. And so next Sunday, the social action team is holding a pet supply drive. Bring any dog and cat food and pet supplies to be donated to local animal shelters. Please submit any pictures of you, your family, and church members, especially if you have a flame in the picture, by tomorrow to generosity@puuc.org. And we are observing Children's Sabbath today, a Sunday many churches across the world observe annually. Piedmont UU Church is fortunate that we have an amazing preschool which meets here, which is called the Piedmont Progressive Preschool. The school was founded by Susan Burns, sitting right over here, guys. One of our members who will actually speak during the generosity moment later in the service. And we welcome all who are visiting with us from the preschool today. And we invite, is Michelle here? Yes. Oh, hey, Michelle, cool. All right. Michelle Deese, the preschool director, will come forward and share with us at this time. Come on up, Michelle. Come on up here, girl. It's okay.
Goodness gracious. Did not know I was starting. Okay, so I actually found the last little thing that I did from, hi Susan, the last little speech that I gave from last time that we did this, and I was like, oh, it's so nice, I should just reuse it. And then I thought, no, I have to write something new. So I did, and so I'm gonna, I'm terrible about doing it off the top of my head, so I'm gonna kind of read a little something that I wrote and then do some things off the top of my head. So I feel like I have met most of you, but if I have not met you, I'm Michelle Deese, and I'm the preschool director, and I spend most of my week here at your wonderful, beautiful space. Monday through Friday, I am here in these halls. And I am here with a bunch of silly little children, and they are mostly outside, but they're also inside, and they are dragging mulch from that playground through your hallways, which we are constantly sweeping in and sweeping out, and takes a lot of work to try to keep your beautiful space clean. And what we don't get, I think Wayne finishes, but we really try to help him out. But I have been here for pretty much the last 20 years. And I have gone from the mother of young children to an empty nester to now a grandmother. And when I thought about that and how I had, a little 10-year-old even when I was here, and then my children were grown up and they went to college and they left me, and then now I actually have one back home right now with 2 grandchildren living in my house. And it's just crazy, the journey that I've taken as a mom while I've been here. It's just amazing. And I watch, and we're all kind of tied to social media now, and I see how children that were here at this school, and I see, what? You're in college? No. How can you be in college? You were just a little tiny person. And now you're in college? That can't be. And then I got a resume for someone saying that they wanted to come work here, and they used to go to school here. And I said, huh? No, you can't. You can't be old enough to work here. And sure enough, she could be. And that was Annika Schepler-Licht. And here she is today. And she is now assisting in our 2-3s class, and we are so happy to have her here at PPP. And I found a little picture of her, and I left it out for her in the kitchen the other day, where she had come back to visit the children at PPP and read a book to them when she was, how old were you in that picture? Maybe 11 maybe. And she came back several times to visit the children and read to them. And her grandmother always said, I think she wants to be a teacher. And here she is. So I don't know if this will be her journey, and if she'll end up teaching in a different capacity, or if we've got her for life. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, you guys have had me for life, so who knows? I may fall in the grave here on the playground. You may have to just put a little mulch over me. They would. We've buried birds out there. So what's a preschool teacher? Who knows? But the children are our future, and these children may one day be our doctors, our dentists, our accountants. They may be our future scientists, politicians, teachers, ministers, mothers, and fathers. And the gifts that we give them through our care, nurturing, knowledge, and respect can make such a difference in the people that they become. We have had approximately 600 children at PPP over the years. I tried to do the math, and I am not a mathematician, so I'm not really sure how to figure it out, but I'm assuming at least 600 children over the last 20 years, possibly 800. I'm not really sure. But I hear about our little ones, and so I already said that. So Piedmont Progressive has such a fitting home here at PUC. Although we're not a religious program of the church, the UU's 7 principles are beautifully aligned with our philosophical approach. We also believe that each person and child is important and should be treated with fairness and kindness. Each child is unique, and we accept the differences in others and learn together. We want children to be empowered and speak up for themselves and seek answers as they navigate through the world. Their thoughts and opinions count too, and we should listen. Within our little community, we help children find ways to resolve conflicts peacefully and respectfully. The respect we model as teachers also continues into teaching a respect for our world. We play for hours outside, exploring nature and hopefully instilling the love of a natural world and the desire to take care of it. And through the years that PPP and PUC have supported each other, it was a church member who created our first website. It was Mr. Dutton, a grandfather who, Sarah Dutton was one of our very first little preschoolers, and her grandfather created our first website. Our founder, Susan, of course, her children were in our first PPP class, and their family laid the pergo flooring in the classrooms. PPP keeps up the classrooms. We've hired painters to paint the classrooms. We've added new fencing and decking. Parents keep up the grounds in the area. When time permits, we do a little more weeding. We're currently creating a nature trail for all to enjoy. It will be a space for children and anyone to enjoy out there. So we want everyone here to enjoy the area once it's completed. I mean, who doesn't enjoy walking through the woods and hopping in a hammock and swinging out there? So that will be there for everyone, whether you're a child or an adult. Most recently, the membership team came to us and asked if they could provide snacks for our parent orientation, and that was such a delightful surprise. And they brought delicious food. And parent orientation night, we had all these things laid out and spread out for our parents, and it was something that I didn't have to even think about. I just walked in, and there it was. So thank you to the membership team for that. And Ann Lakaitis for years has been our liaison between the church and the preschool, and she is our go-between. She handles any kind of conversation that needs to happen between the church and the school, and I thank you so much, Anne, for that. It has been wonderful. I don't know what I would do without Anne. She is so wonderful. And she knows early childhood, so she completely understands everything that we've been going through, especially during COVID. What a horrible and difficult time that was for us all, but for our school as well. And yes, thank you so much, Anne, for everything that you've done to support our school and keep us going. So yes, I mean, we work together as a church and a school, and I thank you all for everything that you've done to support us and to let us exist here at PPP. So thank you all, and I hope it continues. So thank you.
How am I supposed to follow up with that, Michelle? Gosh. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. We really appreciate it. And so for other important information about our vibrant community, please see your order of service, or if you're on our email list, please check our monthly newsletter and weekly announcements. Whatever brought you to this place at this hour, we welcome you. May you find something that you need, and may you leave richer in spirit than when you arrived.
We light this chalice today for the children of our church and the children of our community, celebrating the flame of faith and love, honoring the divine light within each one of us. Let this light illuminate our hearts and lives so that all the children of the world are honored. Please join me now in singing the words to the lighting of our chalice, the symbol of our faith. Thank you, Anne. Always so beautiful. So thank you. I invite you now to please stand as you are willing and able for our call to worship found in your insert. It takes a Unitarian Universalist village to raise a Unitarian Universalist child. It is important for our children to know that they are cared for, to know they are part of a larger family, an important part of a bigger human picture. It is important for our children to believe in themselves, to trust in themselves, to know that they can make a difference. It is important for our children to know our Unitarian Universalist principles, to find ways to live them in their daily lives, and to realize that the choices they make are important. It is important for our children to be able to speak about our faith, to honor its history and its heritage, and to appreciate its heroes and heroines. It is important for our children to explore religious truth and meaning in the Jewish, Christian, and other world religions, and to know that ours is a religion worth having. It is important for our children to experience the spirit of life, to feel a sense of awe at the grandeur of the world, and to live lives of empathy and compassion. Our first hymn is found in our gray hymnal, number 338, I Seek the Spirit of a Child. Please be seated. Now, I know we have some little ones in the nursery, and Isabel, they're happy. I don't want to disturb them, so. Okay. Or disturb you this morning too, right? So, yeah, the children love doing that. So actually, this is a time for all ages that we all can participate in, and I'm just going to stay here and do this. So if you're willing or able, you can also do this from your seat, but we're going to imagine that we are a tree. If you want to stand up and kind of imagine that, or if you want to sit in your seat and imagine you're a tree. I know some people like to stand and move. And just imagine that your feet are planted to the ground below you, right? And then your arms are up in the air, and you can wave them around, a little bit like the wind yesterday. You know how windy it was? It's nicer today. And just as you imagine you're a tree, let these words kind of wash over you. Feel the gravity of the earth holding you in place. Now wiggle your toes as if they were roots. And these roots connect you to the earth and give you strength. Now gently sway in the wind, turning your body like the trunk of a tree. Lean this way and that, bending as the air pushes and pulls. Knowing that we bend but we don't break. Now, sometimes the wind might bend and we might feel a little unbalanced, right? Like we're about to lose our balance. Let's wiggle our toes so that our roots get reconnected. Know that your roots can hold you as you grow and learn and get bigger and bigger. A tree is nourished by soil and water, and you are nourished by food that the earth grows and the water it produces. You are cared for and loved by many people. Now let's still ourselves, be still and silent. And let's wiggle our toes once again, knowing that our roots are strong and grounding us. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank all of you for sharing with that and helping to get our wiggles out a little bit this morning too. So we have arrived at our time for ritual and sacred sharing, a time where we share our joys and our sorrows, and our concerns and our milestones. So this week, we light a candle, first for Michelle M. as she continues to recover from her fall, for Carl with his surgery tomorrow, for Scott H., who has been in the hospital in recent days, but he's going home today. And if you would like to assist the care team with some things for Scott, please let me know. We light a candle for all the children of the world and everything they can teach us. We light a candle for those who are dealing with division or despair, and that light and unity might come forth. For the ongoing struggle for civil rights in Iran, for all areas of violence around the world, especially parts of Africa and the war in Ukraine. Now at this time, you are welcome to come up and you may fill out a prayer card and place it on the prayer wall. You may light your own candle of joy or concern, or you may place a stone in our shared water. We now light a few more candles for the things we hold in our hearts that remain unspoken, and also for those who are joining us virtually and joining us in spirit this morning to honor what is in their hearts as well. Now, at this time, we will enter into a period of meditation, and I invite you, I will ring the bell, and then we will have some silence, and I invite you to spend this time in prayer or meditation, silence, whatever speaks to you this morning. And after this period of silent meditation, then Anne will lead us with our musical meditation.
Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, no tribe was considered to have warriors more fearsome or more intelligent than the mighty Maasai. It is perhaps surprising then to learn the traditional greeting that passed between Maasai warriors. Kasirian Ingira. One would always say to another, and it means, and how are the children? It is still the traditional greeting among the Maasai, acknowledging the high value that the Maasai always place on their children's well-being. Even warriors with no children of their own would always give the traditional answer, all the children are well. Meaning, of course, that peace and safety prevail, that the priorities of protecting the young, the powerless, are in place. The Maasai society has not forgotten its reason for being, its proper function and responsibilities. All the children are well means that life is good. It means that the daily struggles for existence do not preclude proper caring of their young. I wonder how it might affect our consciousness of our own children's welfare in our culture if we took to greeting each other with this daily question, and how are the children? I wonder if we heard that question and passed it along to each other a dozen times a day, if it would begin to make a difference in the reality of how children are thought of or cared about in our own country. I wonder if every adult among us, parent and non-parent alike, felt an equal weight for the daily care and protection of all the children in our community, in our town, in our state, in our country. I wonder if we could truly say without any hesitation, the children are well. Yes, all the children are well. What would it be like if the minister began every worship service by answering the question, and how are the children? If every town leader had to answer the question at the beginning of each meeting, and how are the children? Are they all well? Wouldn't it be interesting to hear their answers? What would it be like? I wonder.
Now, I know I've mentioned before that my dissertation research was a spirituality of adoption. It's my topic. And so for part of my research, I focused on family spirituality. Now, the concept of family spirituality normally took a backseat to what was considered, quote, higher studies of spirituality or theology. There were other areas that were considered kind of more serious. As I was writing this sermon, I thought, I've got a lot of air quotes in the sermon, so just bear with me. But other areas that were considered more serious were almost always headed by men, and white men at that. And they tended to focus on inner concepts or theological considerations of the divine. Now, if you assume that family spirituality began with women who were theologians or spiritual studies, then you would be correct about that, because families were considered women's work. Like men have nothing to do with the family, right? Now, one really important thing I learned during my research was that the concept of a nuclear family, we all heard that term, two parents and their children, usually 2.5 children, right? That this is a really modern concept. It's a post-World War II construct. I think as many of us know, during this time period here in this country, men were considered to be the financial breadwinner of the family, women were the ones who kept the home running, and children were supposed to grow into their assigned gender roles. Right? Think Leave It to Beaver or the Donna Reed story, Family. Whatever that TV show was, y'all know what I'm talking about. So what we start to see during this post-World War II period is a fragmentation of larger families, especially in middle and upper class families. Now, as the decades went on and geographical mobility became much more common, nuclear families were often spatially distant from extended family. Now, I don't know how many young women I've spoken with over the years who have been trying to run a household, feeling isolated even from friends and family, a lot of times just spatially isolated, and then feeling judged if they didn't keep all these balls in the air, or if their children deviated from what was often considered, quote, acceptable behavior. So many of us have no idea that the American concept of nuclear family is divergent from most of history and from many parts of the world today. For most of history, extended family either lived with or nearby, Extended family didn't necessarily mean legal family or blood family. They provided assistance and support in both big and small ways. Now, when my kids were growing up in their younger years, we were very fortunate to live 25 minutes away from my parents. And then as they started to hit middle school time, we were only 2.5 hours away at that. When my son was little, before he went to kindergarten, my dad provided regular child care. And both my parents were constantly helping out when my daughter came along. And there was more than one time when I called my parents and said, "You have got to take Caleb. I've reached my limit right now." So Caleb is great. He's a fantastic man. He was just a really strong-willed little fella who knew his own mind. And everyone's going to need a little extra hand sometimes when that comes along. But it wasn't just my parents who helped out. Friends and neighbors also helped out on a regular basis. The young couple who lived next door who would take Caleb out to play in the backyard, or who might watch Ava, who was a lot easier child, by the way, and they both know this, so, who might watch her while she took a nap so I could run out and do something. Friends who would take in the kids when I had a work meeting at an odd time, or if I just needed a little bit of time to quickly go to the grocery store without 2 kids in tow. Now, one very memorable time when someone went far beyond what was easy was when Caleb was facing end-of-grade tests in 5th grade. The pressure was immense, and I was not providing the support my son needed during that 3-day period. And I'm sure I was projecting my own anxiety off onto him, like many parents do. So my friend Tracy, who had 2 boys of her own, a little bit younger than Caleb, she picked him up, took him home, and kept him for 3 days. I did not see him during that time. She packed his lunch every morning. Her boys were at the same school, got him to school and back, helped make certain that he felt good and comfortable for these tests that he had to take. She did everything, way beyond the extra mile. And Caleb still remembers that too. Now, I know many of us here can tell similar stories of helpful friends and family, helpful church family, people who've gone beyond the extra mile to help out when we needed it. And on the flip side, I know many of us could tell stories about feeling isolated or overwhelmed when trying to care for children. And we can tell stories about when we've been judged as, in air quotes, bad parents. So what if our society lived as the Messiah do, understanding that each and every child is ours, whether we are legally or genetically related to them? What if we understood that we are responsible for the welfare of every child? What would our world look like if we lived this way? Living the way that our principles of Unitarian Universalism ask us to do. Children would not live in poverty, would not go to bed hungry, would not die from guns when they go to school, would not be afraid to live into the fullness of who they really are without the limitations that some in society want to place on them. As we live into our guiding principles, we are helping to create a world. This church community here, we are helping to create a world where we always ask first and foremost, how are the children? Now, I think we all know The world has a lot going on right now. A lot of children, a lot of families, a lot of individuals are struggling because there's a lot going on. We know that there is much to do in our community and in our world to ensure the best for our children. They are each and every one our responsibility. Now, as we can see in our order of service, our announcements, as you can see from the weekly emails and the newsletter, there are a lot of wonderful things that people in our church family are doing to help care for all the children of the world. So I'm not going to list off detailed things we can do because we're doing so many of those things. But I would ask that this morning, when we ask, how are the children, that we respond, the children are loved. The children are loved. So I ask you now, how are the children? Great job. So, may it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Thank you so very much, Susan and Nami. We are so fortunate to have a number of gifted magicians. I guess it is magic. That was a great slip. Yeah. Musical magicians here in our congregation, and we are so grateful that Susan and Nami every month do some special music for us. So, and of course, as you've already heard, Susan is a very important part of our church and has been for a long time. Once a month, we have a generosity moment where a member of our church shares about their connection with Piedmont UU Church and why they support it. Now, of course, starting next month, our generosity campaign, pledge campaign, kicks off officially next Sunday. So we're going to have generosity speakers for all 3 Sundays. But today, for our September generosity moment, Susan is going to come forth and share with us. Thank you.
Hello. It's so nice to be here and to see everybody. Well, Lighting the Flame for Tomorrow is the theme for Piedmont UU's annual pledge campaign, and I wanted to speak both as a proud member of the church and also as the co-founder of the Piedmont Progressive Preschool, which is housed here. I first came to this church in 1995, the week before my daughter was born. And just to give you some perspective, she will turn 28 this month, which is the same age I was when I had her. How cool is that? My son Tristan followed 3 years later, and this community was always so supportive to me and the kids as they grew up in the church. I was on the board for 5 years in the early aughts, and over the years I served on several committees, membership, twice, fellowship, twice, the personnel committee, the music committee, and the endowment committee, twice. It's been a wonderful experience, and I'm so grateful for this community, and I've been really happy to help it financially. When my kids were little, I couldn't find a non-religious preschool up here, so I brought them to Open Door School at the big UU church in Charlotte, South Charlotte. That is where I met my friend Mary Coppola, an educator who also lived in the university area, so we carpooled. And eventually we got tired of the drive, so in 2001, she and I decided to establish a similar nonprofit school here. We got the blessing of Open Door School's founder, the wonderful educator Sue Riley, and we may have poached a couple of their best teachers, including Michelle. Thank you. We had much appreciated support from church members and staff in establishing the preschool here. And it's the only non-sectarian, developmentally appropriate, child-led, mostly outdoor preschool. Some people have called it the hippie preschool. That's cool. We're not crying about that. The school, as Michelle said, it's based on a philosophy aligned with Unitarian Universalism, with emphasis on honoring the inherent worth and dignity of every person, celebrating diversity, and respecting nature, to name a few. I'm not going to lie, sharing space with the RE program has sometimes been a challenge over the years, but it's been overcome also many times over the years, and it's been a great opportunity to use the classrooms that would otherwise be empty during the week, and also to introduce preschool parents to our church. We've had several join over the years, including one of our board presidents. It's been great to see how the preschool and the school have cooperated to create wonderful outdoor and indoor spaces together for our kids for the benefit of both organizations. Together, the two have been lighting the flame for tomorrow for 22 years. God, that makes me feel old. So please join me in pledging, because it takes each and every pledge to ensure that together we are lighting the flame for tomorrow. Each pledge matters. Thank you.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. North Carolina Environmental Justice Network, also known as NCEJN, is a grassroots, people of color-led coalition of community organizations and their supporters who work with low-income communities and people of color on issues of climate, environmental, racial, and social injustice. We ask that you place your gift in the baskets as they make their way around the room, or you may wait and drop it into one of the baskets as you exit our space. And you are always welcome to give online at puuc.org, or you can also give by texting PUUC at the number 73256. Today's offering will now gratefully be received.
We give thanks for all the many gifts contained within these baskets and for all the gifts that you offer this beloved community. We especially thank you for the gift of your presence here with us today, whether it's in person or virtually. And we thank you for the love that you share with this world around us. Let us now stand as you are willing or able for our closing hymn found in our great hymnal, number 314, We Are Children of the Earth. Before we extinguish our chalice, I want to offer thanks for all the many volunteers who've helped make our service possible this morning. And a special thanks to Michelle and others from the preschool who are here with us today. And for the wonderful care they provide for our children. We also ask before you leave today, please place your hymnals back on the cart near the piano. And let us end as we do each Sunday by giving thanks, either in our hearts or with words, for the things for which we are thankful today. So I invite you, if you would like to share verbally, to name the things for which you are grateful today.
All the children.
All the children, yes.
I'm grateful for my granddaughter Cindy and Oliver, who were married yesterday at Connect.
Yes. Ann's granddaughter married yesterday, so.
All of the work that went into the generosity picnic yesterday by so many people.
Yes, the generosity team and everyone who helped with the wonderful generosity picnic yesterday, it was fantastic, so.
College financial aid and scholarships because I'm poor.
Amen. College financial aid and scholarships, yes, Vanessa, there's a lot of us who give great thanks for that over the years.
Thanks for my parents, my teachers, and all the people who supported me in my life.
Cassette's parents, teachers, and everyone who supported her during her life.
And I'm so grateful that Krista was able to be here today. And I told our story before, the first Sunday I came in here, she asked me if I'd had my hair changed. And pulled my shirt out and blew down the back of my shirt. And it made me feel like I was exactly the right spot.
Very grateful for Krista and Connie's presence today. So.
And for all the trees and the human ones.
Yes, all the trees.
Natural and human.
Yeah, everything in natural universe.
The preschool and all who work for it.
Yes, the preschool and all who work with it. Yes. We give thanks for all these things and so much more which we hold in our hearts this morning. So let us go forth, always asking how the children are and living our lives in a way that honors each child and which shows great love for each child. We now extinguish our chalice, but we carry its light, its warmth, and its meaning with us until we meet again. May we go in peace, believe in peace, create peace wherever we may wander. May it be so.